What it is, what it do, stop the world. It is your girl, the one and only Ash Brown, and this is the Ash Said It Show. Over 1,900 episodes, 500,000 streams since 2014 and growing. All of that is on a part of you guys. So thank you so much for all the love, all the shares, the cares. It makes a huge difference. Today, my guest is author of A Perfect 10 Party Edition Cookbook, Tim Mulligan. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Ash, how are you?
I am doing pretty awesome, Tim. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so, Tim, what part of the country are you at today?
Well, I am in beautiful Palm Springs, California, which is where I spend most of my time. I go back and forth to L.A., but Palm Springs is my primary residence.
I gotta tell you, Tim, I'm a little jealous that California
it's
weather.
Beautiful, it's sunny, yeah, it's nice.
Super jelly right now. All right, Tim. So the inspiration behind this cookbook, where did it come from?
Yeah, so, I think a couple of years ago, when COVID struck and we were all, stuck at home, quarantining, I kind of, I worked during the day, but I was working remote, and I finally decided, this would be a good time that I can't really, do anything, to leave my house to cross a couple things off my bucket list that I want to do. And one of them was, I had two things I really wanted to do. One was to write a play, which I did, and now that play is going to New York this spring, which I'm very excited about.
Congratulations.
And the second, thank you, and the second was to write a cookbook. And so I've been cooking for years for my family and friends, and I spent my early days in hospitality, and I just I've been curating and gathering and collecting recipes my entire life. And so I put out a cookbook in 2022 called A Perfect 10. And it's all my favorite recipes. I did kind of top 10 lists, which I always like to do, for every meal period. So there's 70 recipes, and it's my go-to recipes that anyone who's busy like me, who's raising a family or works during the day or just doesn't even like to cook that much, just pull this off the shelf and follow these easy recipes, and you can quickly have a great meal. So that was the first cookbook, and then the response was so great that I decided to put out another one this year. It just came out a few months ago, and it's the one you referenced. It's called A Perfect 10 Party Edition. And so I threw 7 parties, and I put together a top 10 list, like a roadmap of a menu, everything from a couple cocktails to a couple appetizers to a couple salads, a couple main dishes, and a couple desserts that you can, for 7 different types of parties, trying to make, throwing parties not a stressful time, right, but make it a breeze and make it fun for people. Yeah. So that was the impetus for it.
Gotcha. I love that idea because there's always need for a party, and then we're in this post-COVID world. There's always a need for some snacks, some really good, finger foods and things. So how did you break apart the different themes? I'm sure that this book has so many different themes as far as planning and setting up the right setting for a party.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just kind of thought back to what are the type of parties most people throw and what could be helpful. So I chose the 7 themes of parties first. So I have a baby shower, which could be a bridal shower, which could be, a gender reveal, whatever you want to do. Right. I did, I'm in Palm Springs, so I do a lot of outdoorsy things. So I did a brunch outside, which of course could be moved inside. I did a pool party. I did a happy hour. I chose a birthday party because everyone throws those. And I also did one seated holiday dinner because I thought that'd be good to have in the list. Yeah. And then also an award show party. So I like Oscar parties, Super Bowl parties, Grammys, whatever it might be. So once I had the parties down, then I just kind of went through each party and thought of, what happens at those parties and like what kind of events do you do? Is everyone standing around or watching TV, or is it indoor, outdoor? And then I started, once I kind of figured out the theme for each party, then I looked in my recipe, archive and chose recipes that I would make for those parties and that I think other people would enjoy as well. So that's that. And then I just kind of put it together. And like I said, I pulled cocktails into the list here. So I think that for, for a good party, you got to have a good drink. And instead of just like kind of winging it when people show up, make it simple and have a couple, specialty cocktails ready to go. And I also wanted to make sure that the food was food that I'm not a big fan of, sweating in the kitchen while my party's going on. So I like this is stuff you can make in advance. So when people show up when the doorbell rings and your first guests show up, you're ready to go. You're out there with them. The food's on the table. The drinks are ready to go, and you're ready to have fun yourself. And so I chose recipes that lend themselves, to those type of themes.
Yeah. Now, I would imagine with so many different themed parties and themed type of events, are there any particular staple items that a lot of these parties typically have?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was pretty consistent on the different groups. And I actually threw the parties, by the way. So for each, I actually threw a bunch of parties earlier this year and photographed them and took pictures. And so I wanted to make sure I practiced what I preach and threw the parties myself. But I think, like you said before, I mean, you want to choose food that, that is easy to carry. You can talk to people, you can mingle. Right. So I think if there's any consistencies among all the parties, I'd say that I'm a big fan of like a self-serve station. So I have a couple different options for those. So people can kind of make their own, tostadas or make their own, tortilla soup platter or make their own picadillo bowl, whatever it might be. Yeah. So that, and then I think all sorts of, every party in common has some good finger foods or some handhelds. Right. Yeah, so I think that they're all a little different for the theme, but there is some consistency. And that's one thing I like about the book is you could actually pick and choose and say, hey, I'm throwing a happy hour, but I really want to use this appetizers that Tim had in the birthday party section, and you can kind of pull from there. And so I labeled them all. So here's appies, here's starters, here's salads, here's entrees, and you kind of pick and choose from the different parties what would be good for your own party that you're throwing.
Gotcha. Wow, that's awesome. And you touched on something I want to come back to a little bit. Cocktails. All right. A good cocktail can set off a whole meal, Tim. I think we can both agree on that one. Now, some of the recipes that are in the book, are they, the cocktails, are they seemingly easy to come about type of stuff? Like, is there a staple? Like, what is that looking like?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did what I like to do for cocktails, and I'm not a big fan of just throwing a bunch of bottles of booze and some mixers and a bucket of ice on a banquet table and having people do their own thing. I get confused myself when I'm a guest at one of those parties, so I like to do, I put in the recipe in the book, cocktails that you can make in like pitchers and do a couple pitchers of this, a carafe of this, a station for this. And so I think that, there's different variations of, say, sangrias or bubbly, champagne, like spritzy type drinks that lend themselves well to a cocktail, Gotcha. And then you can also make them, mocktails if you want it as well. Yeah. And so nothing too complicated and stuff, like I said, that you can make in advance so you're not, having to bartend during the party.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I like easy stuff, Tim. Easy peasy. We're not spending 12 hours in the kitchen like Grandma. No, bless God.
I hear you. Yeah.
But I love easy to follow recipes, and that sounds really, really awesome. Now, Tim, where is the book available?
You can get it anywhere online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can also go to, I have my own website. It's called Perfect 10, the number 10, cookbook.com. And you can order both cookbooks there. Also, you can find there, I've been doing a weekly blog for the past going on 2 years now. And every week I post new recipes. All of those are on the website as well.
Now, Tim, I'm no soothsayer. I'm not a psychic of any sort. But I feel like you got maybe another book in the works. Possibly another cookbook. Maybe?
I do. I mean, right. Like I mentioned that I kind of got this creative, spurt during COVID. And so, one good thing came out of the pandemic for me was that it just inspired me to do the stuff I've always wanted to do. And so I am working on a third cookbook. Before that, though, I have a couple plays that I'm getting launched that I wrote during COVID as well. And so I have a play coming to Palm Springs in February. I have a play coming. The same play is going to go off Broadway in April. So that's my first half of the year is busy with that. But in the back of my mind, I have so many recipes that I have gathered, collected, curated, perfected over the years that I could write a whole series of cookbooks, believe me.
I love that. And if people want to follow your journey, Tim, or they want to get more information about those upcoming plays, where do they need to go?
Oh, yeah, for the plays, I just go to the play website. It's Witchland, WITCHLAND, play.com. And all the plays and all the information is there.
Sounds like the plan. Tim, thank you so much for coming through today. We certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And I appreciate all the love and support. And Tim, you got to come back with the new book. I know, like I said, we couldn't get too much into it, and I didn't want to, I don't want to blow your cover. But you got to come back. I would love.
Another cookbook will be out soon, I'm sure. Yeah.
Definitely. But I appreciate all the love and support, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting this movement. Keep in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do, you look them square in the face, you tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for. This social media is cool and fun, but real life is so much better. Next time, you guys.